Donnie and Dolly, the team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
All today's guests on a Friday, including Thomas Drance standing by from The Athletic, brought to you by Langley Chrysler. Don't miss the game because your car needs servicing. Langley Chrysler will pick up service and drop off your car so you don't have to miss the action. Valet service only at langleychrysler.com. As we bring in Thomas Drance from The Athletic in the wake of the Canucks 6-3 loss in Minnesota. How are you, sir?
Doing well, gentlemen. Good morning to you. Nice shirt, Rick. I should have joined you. Excuse me. My bad. I forgot. I'll be picking myself up all day.
Did you not buy any of these in Palm Springs when you were there a couple of weeks ago? Come on.
I'm still there, Rick.
No, you're not. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. 100%. I thought you came back.
I'm driving 1,000 miles this weekend. I'll be back in time for the Kraken game, the Canucks' next home game. And then I'll be around to end the season. Going to be an interesting week, even though I do think the Canucks' playoff chances practically crumbled yesterday.
Yeah.
Have you been there since the start of the season? How long has it been? My God.
3 weeks. 3 weeks. Yeah, it's been a nice haul. Yeah.
Must be nice to be in Palm Springs during the season. My goodness.
Sign me up. Hey, Thomas, face of adversity. We talked about fatigue in the first segment, going into a tough building against a tough team. How would you describe the Canucks' effort last night?
I thought it was brilliant. Honestly, I thought that was one of their best games of the month. It's just that the result wasn't what they wanted, right? Mm-hmm. But in terms of how they played 5-on-5, they were the better team for most of the evening. There was 7 minutes there at the start where it looked grim. I thought, oh boy, this could be trouble for Vancouver, but they responded from that. And then I think for 40 minutes, like the Lions' share of the game, they were the materially better team, particularly at 5-on-5. I loved what the Pettersson line gave them. I thought their defense mostly held up pretty well until things got a little bit adventurous for Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Tyler Myers late. But, that was as good an effort as you're going to get. And Brad Richardson breaks his nose. He's right back out there. Luke Schenn fights Nicolas Deslauriers, one of the few remaining non-extinct apex predators in the NHL. JT Miller takes a shot off his knee. Observers at XL Energy Center said he was limping severely on his way out of the rink. We'll see if he practices today. Doesn't miss a shift, gentlemen. Doesn't miss a shift. I thought that was emblematic of a team that, has done a lot of good things over the course of the past 53 games. And yet, at no point on this run did their playoff odds ever peak north of 30%, according to my colleague at the Athletic, Dom Lucian's model, right? I mean, they were always too far behind the 8 ball. And at the end of the day, in the last 8 minutes, I don't think they had the extra gear they needed to will themselves to another improbable victory over an elite team on the road playing their third game in 4 nights. And, that's sort of how it goes if you leave yourself no margin for error.
I think Nick Deslauriers was in Sons of Anarchy, wasn't he? A scary looking dude. Thomas, Elias Pettersson.
Mayans. He's the star of Mayans.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that. Elias Pettersson, 13 goals in 12 games, now a 30-goal scorer, their third 30-goal scorer this season. What has changed? I think health is the answer. What has changed for him between the start of the season and now?
Well, health is definitely the biggest part of that story, no question. We all sort of wondered, I think, what impact the coaching change would have on him. And he was asked directly about 10 days ago, how much did Bruce Boudreau help you find your confidence? And his response, rather confidently was, I found it myself. And I do think that there was certainly a breath of fresh air for Pettersson after the coaching change. I think you could see it, but I do think the major reason why he's been incredible since early January, right? Because it's not like the coaching change happened and Pettersson was immediately shot out of a cannon, right, and dominating the league. It's really since early December. I think he's been one of the league's best players, one of the most complete two-way players in this league. And that's a huge advantage. It's been a huge advantage for the Canucks every night. It's been a ton of fun to watch and, speaks to the unlimited ceiling that this player has as a result of all the small things that he does well and all of the very, very loud things that he does that make him worth the price of admission. But yeah, I think the wrist healing, putting some time between him and that injury, I think that was the biggest single difference. And to be honest with you, gentlemen, if you want to understand why the Canucks were such a different team in the second half than they were in the first, I know everyone likes to point to the coaching change. They should. Boudreau's done exceptional work, but Pettersson being able to single-handedly win you games in the second half, I mean, that made a massive, massive difference. A big part of the story of this Canucks team's sort of disparate results in the first 25 and since.
Yeah, your best players got to be your best players. Thomas, you had it first this week that Bruce Boudreau's agent was meeting with him in Minnesota. I believe they met on Tuesday or Wednesday. What's the latest you're hearing? We're starting to hear that the Canucks would like to have him back, but they got to work out a contract. If they can, great. If they can't, maybe it doesn't work. What are you hearing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing what you're hearing, Rick, which is the optimism that there's going to be an attempt to get it done. Right, there's a sense that that's going to that the club will try to get this done. Now, there's so much secrecy around the exact structure of Boudreau's deal. Right, we've got my athletic colleague Pierre Lebrun reporting on the team option and his sense that the club's going to try and get the deal done. You've got Elliot Friedman, who noted that in fact there seems to be a mutual option, some kind of a balloon payment should the club decide to walk away would be due to Boudreau. Of course. In the event that Boudreau wanted to walk away from the deal, there seems to be a possibility of that as well. And look, there's going to be as many as 10 vacancies available around the NHL, head coaching vacancies. There could be more depending on what happens in the playoffs and how the early rounds shake out. We all know that there's going to be some coaches under pressure to deliver when the playoffs begin. So there could be a lot of openings, and Boudreau has not done anything to harm his market value or desirability as a head coaching candidate around the NHL. As they said on the Ringer podcast about Nick Nurse last week, and I'm going to steal the line, the price of the brick may have gone up for the Vancouver Canucks on the Bruce Boudreau front, right? Yeah. So navigating that is going to be interesting, particularly because, of course, the club's going to have Travis Green under contract for next year. Perhaps that gets mitigated if he gets a job. There is that potential balloon payment to be aware of. And for me, though, re-signing Boudreau has to be a no-brainer. Not having him work the final year of his deal has to be a no-brainer. We're at this moment in the history of this franchise where we've been through a lot of palace intrigue and a lot of, distractions off the ice in terms of personnel, right? You think about Trevor Linden's departure and then the LaFleur-Judd bracket and then, everything that happened in 2021 with Travis Green half working the last year of their deal and, the club blowing past Ian Clark's deadline and then into the changes that were made in early December. And now you have this stretch with a popular coach. The fans literally chant his name at home games when the team is up. You have this optimism, right? There's trust. The market has confidence in club leadership. Like, go into the offseason and be able to project stability for the first time in 6 years. That should be a no-brainer for this club as they look to, chart a new course and begin to operate in a way that the local market can have some confidence and trust in finally, right? It's get Boudreau done. For me, that's a no-brainer, has to be done. And it would change the entire complexion of this offseason for me, particularly as it sort of pertains to how the club can operate and be perceived by a fan base that finally, at last, for the first time in a long time, kind of believes.
Thomas, just one quick thing. You said something. Your sources say that Miller was limping severely out of the rink last night?
That's what I've heard, yeah.
Okay, wow.
Observers at XL Energy Center noted that JT Miller was limping on his way out of the rink yesterday.
And very, very quickly, Thomas, do you have any memories of the late, great Guy Lafleur?
A little bit before my time.
Yep.
My dad was a huge Montreal Canadiens fan, but Lafleur, he was a little bit older when Lafleur played. So like Jean Beliveau was his guy. But I always heard stories of Lafleur's sort of dominance. I remember watching Pavel Bure as a young man in Vancouver and obviously being enthralled, wide-eyed. I don't think I'd be doing the job I'm doing today, gentlemen, if it weren't for growing up in the city that Pavel Bure played. And I remember watching it and thinking, how can any one player, asking my dad, how can any one player be this dominant? And he said, you should have seen Lafleur. Like, that was the guy who had this type of sort of imposing offensive threat every time he was on the ice. You went to games to watch him play. And so I grew up always knowing that the way that I regarded Pavel Bure was similar to the way my dad had regarded Guy Lafleur and also his disco album. If you've never heard his disco album,
Oh, right.
including the song Lancé, an all-timer, I highly recommend Guy Lafleur's disco album. Rest in peace to one of the offensive greats in NHL history.
We'll try to dig it up. Thomas, above and beyond, as always, thanks so much, and safe travels.
Thank you, gentlemen. Be well. See you next week.
Adios, amigos.